And then it's just, I'm so lucky. I mean, I've got this beautiful wife and these great kids, and life is just good.
After decades of battling Parkinson's disease, surviving major health scares, and defying expectations at every turn, Michael J. Fox has become known for speaking his mind. Yet few expected one of his most talked-about comments to involve his own funeral. While reflecting on mortality, Fox revealed that there's a particular person he doesn't want attending when that day eventually comes. The remark immediately sparked curiosity among fans around the world. Was he being serious, sarcastic, or sending a message? To understand the answer, you first have to understand the journey that brought him here. The boy who never settled. Starting out as a young actor, Michael J. Fox seemed to fit naturally into the world of film and television. It was as if performing came second nature to him. Growing up in Canada, he came to believe that talent may have run in the family. His mother, Phyllis Evelyn, had once been an actress herself, while his father, William Fox, served in the Royal Canadian Corps of Signals. His father's military career meant the family rarely stayed in one place for long. Throughout Michael's childhood, they moved repeatedly across Canada, uprooting themselves again and again during some of his most formative years. As a result, he often found it difficult to feel settled or build lasting friendships. Every time he started to feel comfortable, another move seemed to be waiting around the corner. That constant change finally came to an end when William retired and the family settled in Burnaby, British Columbia. But even with a permanent home, Michael never completely shook the feeling of being an outsider. As the second youngest of 6 children, he was already used to feeling overlooked, and his small stature only added to that sense of being underestimated. Before acting became his passion, hockey had his heart. Like countless Canadian kids, he loved the sport and spent plenty of time on the ice. The problem was that he was significantly smaller than many of the other players, making competition difficult. Still, what seemed like a disadvantage in one area of life would eventually push him towards something he was uniquely suited for. His interest in performing began during junior high school. Almost immediately, it became clear that he had a natural gift for it. After joining the school drama club, he impressed both his classmates and his teacher with his ability to command attention on stage. One teacher was so convinced of his potential that they encouraged him to audition for an upcoming film. That suggestion would change the course of his life. In 1977, at just 16 years old, Michael auditioned for the Canadian Broadcasting Corporation production Leo and Me. He landed the role, and the experience opened doors to several other television appearances. With each opportunity, his confidence grew, and so did his determination to pursue acting professionally. A year later, he made a bold decision that few teenagers would have been willing to risk. At just 17, Michael dropped out of high school and headed to Hollywood in pursuit of his dream. Not everyone believed it was a wise move. One teacher even tried to temper his ambitions by warning him that he would not be cute forever. Michael's response revealed the confidence that would become one of his defining traits. "Maybe just long enough, sir," he replied. That confidence would soon be tested. Unlike many aspiring actors who spend years waiting for a breakthrough, Michael found work relatively quickly after arriving in Los Angeles. In 1979, he landed a role in the television movie Letters from Frank. The project marked his first official acting job in the United States and gave him the opportunity to register with the Screen Actors Guild. Just as he was preparing to do so, however, he encountered an unexpected obstacle. Another actor had already registered under the name Michael Fox. SAG rules prohibited 2 performers from sharing the same professional name, meaning the newcomer would have to choose something different. After considering several options, he ruled out using his middle name, Andrew, and decided that Michael A. Fox did not sound right either. Eventually, he found inspiration in character actor Michael J. Pollard and adopted the name that would become famous around the world, Michael J. Fox. The new name solved one problem, but it did not solve his financial struggles. Despite landing roles, he remained largely broke. Like many young actors trying to establish themselves, he spent years living paycheck to paycheck. Still, he refused to quit. He continued booking increasingly larger roles, including his first feature film, Midnight Madness, in 1980. Then, in 1982, a life-changing opportunity arrived when he auditioned for a sitcom called Family Ties. Ironically, his casting almost never happened. The network initially wanted another young actor, Matthew Broderick, for the role. Only when Broderick became unavailable did Michael get his chance. Even then, his situation was far from glamorous. He did not even have a personal phone. Determined not to miss the opportunity, he gave the studio the number of a public payphone outside a Pioneer Chicken restaurant. For days, he lingered nearby, waiting for the call that could change everything. The gamble paid off. When Family Ties finally came through, it became clear that Michael J. Fox had found the role he was born to play. When the sitcom Family Ties premiered in 1982, audiences were introduced to the Keaton family, a household built around the generational clash between two former hippies and their ambitious young son, Alex P. Keaton. That son was played by Michael J. Fox, and before long, he became the breakout star of the entire series. Ironically, that was never supposed to happen. When the show was first developed, the focus was meant to be on the parents. Alex was simply one piece of the ensemble. But almost immediately, viewers connected with Michael's sharp wit, natural charm, and endless energy. Week after week, he stole scenes so effortlessly that the producers eventually shifted the spotlight toward him. What began as a family sitcom gradually evolved into a show centered around Alex Keaton. Not everyone saw that potential from the beginning, though. The show's creator, Gary David Goldberg, was far from impressed after Michael's first audition. He felt the young actor had made Alex too sarcastic and too much of a wise guy. For a moment, it looked like Michael might lose the opportunity entirely. Fortunately, casting director Judith Weiner saw something others missed. She believed there was real talent behind the performance and pushed for Michael to get another chance. Realizing how much was at stake, Michael returned better prepared. He refined his approach, adjusted his performance, and delivered exactly what the producers were looking for. The second audition changed everything. Still, even after winning the role, the doubts did not disappear. Another major obstacle came from NBC executive Brandon Tartikoff. His concerns had nothing to do with Michael's acting ability. Instead, he questioned whether Michael looked like a leading man at all. He thought the actor was too short compared to the rest of the cast and lacked the kind of appearance that television executives traditionally associated with a star. It was a criticism Michael never forgot. Quick break, 20 seconds, and I think many of you will find this relevant. If you've ever mentioned memory concerns to your doctor and been told it's normal for your age, that answer may be less complete than it sounds. Researchers published a finding in 2013 that most general practitioners have never directly integrated into their advice. It changes the picture considerably. Go to brainresearchreport.com or find the link in the description below. If this has ever bothered you, it will give you a completely different way of looking at it. Now let's get back to the video. Years later, after proving himself beyond any doubt, he found a clever way to respond. Rather than holding a grudge, he chose humor. He sent Tartikoff a custom lunchbox with a playful message referencing the executive's earlier doubts. It was a light-hearted reminder of just how wrong those early predictions had been. And wrong they certainly were. As Michael's popularity exploded, he could easily have developed an oversized ego. Instead, he earned a reputation as one of the most likable people on set. Cast members consistently spoke about how much they enjoyed working with him, and the atmosphere behind the scenes remained remarkably positive despite the show's growing success. Among his co-stars was actress Tracy Pollan, who played Alex Keaton's girlfriend. At the time, neither of them could have known just how important that relationship would eventually become in Michael's life. For now, she was simply a fellow cast member and a close friend. Meanwhile, another opportunity was quietly taking shape in Hollywood. A young director named Robert Zemeckis was preparing a science fiction adventure called Back to the Future. From the beginning, Zemeckis believed Michael J. Fox was the perfect choice to play Marty McFly. There was just one problem. Michael was unavailable. Because Family Ties was such a success, Gary David Goldberg wanted his star focused entirely on the sitcom. In fact, he initially prevented Zemeckis from even approaching Michael about the role. With no other option, the filmmakers moved forward with actor Eric Stoltz as Marty McFly. Filming began, but something felt off. Although Stoltz was a talented actor, Zemeckis soon realized the performance was not matching the tone he envisioned. The character needed a specific blend of humor, charm, and relatability that he believed Michael naturally possessed. Then, fate stepped in. At the time, Family Ties star Meredith Baxter had been away on maternity leave, leaving Michael with an especially demanding workload. Once she returned, his schedule suddenly became more manageable. For the first time, there was a realistic chance he could juggle both projects. The filmmakers acted quickly. Even though Eric Stoltz had already filmed scenes for the movie, the difficult decision was made to replace him. Michael was brought in, and production essentially started over. It was a risky move and an expensive one, but it would become one of the most famous casting decisions in Hollywood history. Michael embraced the opportunity with everything he had. By day, he filmed Family Ties. By night, he raced across town to work on Back to the Future. The schedule was exhausting, but he knew this was the kind of opportunity that could change a career forever. And that is exactly what happened. When Back to the Future was released in 1985, it became an international phenomenon. Audiences fell in love with Marty McFly, and critics praised Michael's performance for its energy, humor, and heart. The film grossed hundreds of millions of dollars worldwide and quickly became one of the defining movies of its era. Almost overnight, Michael J. Fox transformed from a popular television star into a global superstar. The performance earned him widespread acclaim, including a Golden Globe nomination, and cemented his place among Hollywood's biggest names. More importantly, it marked the beginning of a franchise that would become legendary. For Michael J. Fox, the journey from overlooked audition candidate to one of the most recognizable faces in entertainment had taken years of persistence, rejection, and second chances. But standing on the other side of Back to the Future's success, one thing was finally clear. Every person who had doubted him along the way had underestimated just how far he was destined to go. A diagnosis that changed everything. Michael J. Fox struck gold when he landed the role of Marty McFly. What started as a single movie quickly became something much bigger. Back to the Future became a cultural phenomenon, and its two sequels earned just as much admiration as the original. At the same time, he was still starring in Family Ties, meaning he was juggling two of the most successful projects of the decade. For a young actor, it seemed like a dream come true. But behind the excitement and success, there were moments when things came dangerously close to disaster. Fox was known for throwing himself fully into his work, often insisting on performing as much of his own material as possible. During the production of Back to the Future Part 3, that commitment nearly cost him his life. In one scene, Marty McFly is almost hanged, and Fox agreed to perform the sequence himself. The stunt team carefully explained the safety procedures, repeatedly reminding him where to place his hand inside the noose to prevent any real danger. Everything was planned down to the smallest detail. Then, during one take, something went wrong. Fox missed his cue and forgot the hand placement entirely. Within moments, he lost consciousness. For a brief period, many people on set thought he was simply acting. Fortunately, director Robert Zemeckis noticed that something was seriously wrong and quickly intervened. What was supposed to be a dramatic movie scene had almost become a real tragedy. Thankfully, Fox walked away from the incident and continued building one of the hottest careers in Hollywood. Even while filming Back to the Future, he found time to star in Teen Wolf in 1985. While it never reached the legendary status of the time travel trilogy, it was still a major success and further cemented his popularity. Combined with his continued work on Family Ties, which ran until 1989, Fox became one of the most recognizable young stars in America. Audiences loved him, critics respected him, and before long, the media was labeling him the next great teen idol. Awards soon followed. Although he missed out on a Golden Globe for Back to the Future, the industry had no trouble recognizing his talent. Over the years, he collected multiple Emmy Awards and a Golden Globe for his work on Family Ties, proving he was far more than just a movie star. Yet some of the most important moments of his life were happening away from the cameras. In 1987, Fox signed on to star in Bright Lights, Big City. While the film itself was significant, the real turning point came from sharing the screen once again with actress Tracy Pollan. The connection between them was undeniable. Their friendship quickly deepened into romance, and before long they were inseparable. The following year, they married. As Fox's career continued to soar, Pollan chose to focus more on family life. The decision proved timely. Within a few years, they began welcoming children and building a life together away from the spotlight. Professionally, Fox was eager to challenge himself. By the late 1980s, audiences knew him primarily for comedy. Then came Casualties of War in 1989. The intense war drama allowed him to showcase a completely different side of his abilities. Critics praised his performance, viewing it as proof that he possessed far greater range than many had realized. Everything seemed to be falling perfectly into place. Then, in the early 1990s, something changed. While filming Doc Hollywood shortly after completing the Back to the Future trilogy, Fox began noticing unusual symptoms. At first, it was a persistent pain in his shoulder. Then came a small but troubling twitch in his pinky finger. It seemed minor, but the symptoms refused to disappear. Eventually, he sought medical advice. The diagnosis was devastating. At just 29 years old, Michael J. Fox learned that he had Parkinson's disease, a progressive neurological condition with no cure. The news shattered the future he had imagined for himself. Years later, he would describe the moment as feeling like his entire world had exploded. The diagnosis became even harder to accept when doctors warned him that the disease would worsen over time. Some even predicted that his acting career might be over within a few years. Faced with that reality, Fox struggled deeply. Unable to fully process what was happening, he searched for ways to escape the fear and uncertainty. Despite beginning treatment, emotionally he was falling apart. Alcohol became a temporary refuge, a way to silence thoughts about a future that suddenly felt terrifyingly uncertain. Years later, Fox revealed that while working on set, he often relied heavily on medication to manage his symptoms and conceal the early signs of the disease. He was determined to keep performing and to prevent anyone from noticing what he was going through. What made the situation even harder was how isolated he felt. For a long time, he carried the burden largely on his own. Thankfully, he eventually sought help and overcame his struggles with alcohol. Rather than surrendering to the diagnosis, he chose to keep moving forward. Throughout the 1990s, he continued acting while privately battling Parkinson's, taking on an increasingly diverse range of projects. Among those projects were memorable voice roles that introduced him to a whole new generation. He brought warmth and charm to Stuart Little, and later voiced Milo Thatch in Disney's Atlantis, The Lost Empire. At the same time, he returned to television in a major way. In 1996, he reunited with producer Gary David Goldberg to star in Spin City as Deputy Mayor Mike Flaherty. The series became a huge success, but Fox had personal reasons for accepting the role as well. He and Tracy had recently welcomed twin daughters, and filming in New York allowed him to spend far more time with his growing family. By then, family had become his highest priority. Still, Parkinson's was becoming harder to hide. As the years passed, the symptoms grew more visible. Fox remained determined to continue working, but eventually, the effort required to conceal his condition became overwhelming. During the production of Spin City's third season, he made the difficult decision to reveal his diagnosis publicly. After one additional season, he stepped away from the show. For many people, that moment might have marked the end of the story. For Michael J. Fox, it marked the beginning of a new chapter. Looking back, he later admitted that keeping his diagnosis secret had been a way of avoiding the truth. Once he finally confronted it openly, he discovered a new purpose. He realized that his fame, influence, and resources could help countless others facing the same battle. In 2000, he founded the Michael J. Fox Foundation, dedicating himself to advancing Parkinson's research and improving the lives of patients around the world. For years, audiences had watched him play heroes on screen. Now, he was becoming one in real life. At a time when understanding of Parkinson's disease was still limited, the foundation pushed aggressively for scientific progress, funding groundbreaking research and helping accelerate the search for better treatments. Over time, it grew into one of the most respected and influential organizations in the field. It was an extraordinary legacy, one built not in spite of adversity, but because of it. And yet, even after overcoming so much, another challenge was waiting just around the corner. Michael J. Fox reveals who he banned from his upcoming funeral. By the turn of the millennium, Michael J. Fox had already spent years learning how to live with Parkinson's disease. He had adjusted his career, embraced advocacy work, and was doing everything possible to stay positive. Then, in 2000, a completely unrelated tragedy reminded him just how fragile life could be. On July 25th of that year, Air France Flight 4590 crashed shortly after takeoff from Paris, killing everyone on board. The disaster struck especially close to home for Fox and his family. They had originally been scheduled to return from Paris on that very flight. At the last moment, however, they changed their plans and flew home a day earlier. The realization was chilling. A simple scheduling change had likely saved their lives. Experiences like that had a way of sharpening a person's perspective, and for Fox, it reinforced something he had already begun to understand. Time was precious. Rather than retreat from public life, he became even more determined to use his platform to fight for causes he believed could improve the lives of others. By the mid-2000s, that mission led him directly into the political spotlight. Fox became a vocal advocate for embryonic stem cell research, believing it held enormous potential for treating diseases like Parkinson's. In 2006, he appeared in a campaign advertisement supporting Claire McCaskill during her Senate race against Jim Talent. The advertisement generated national attention. Fox's popularity, combined with his personal connection to the issue, turned the campaign into one of the most talked-about political stories of the election season. His endorsement helped bring renewed focus to stem cell research and demonstrated that he still possessed tremendous influence with the public. Yet even as he poured energy into activism, he never completely lost his love for performing. As the years passed, Parkinson's gradually made the demands of full-time acting more difficult. Long shooting schedules and physically demanding roles became increasingly challenging. Still, Fox refused to disappear from the screen entirely. Instead, he began taking carefully selected guest roles that allowed him to keep doing what he loved. Audiences were delighted to see him appear on popular series such as Scrubs and The Good Wife. Despite appearing only briefly, his performances remained as sharp and engaging as ever, earning him multiple Emmy nominations. His impact extended far beyond television as well. In 2010, he received an invitation to participate in the closing ceremony of the 2010 Winter Olympics. Sharing the stage with fellow Canadian stars Catherine O'Hara and William Shatner, Fox proudly celebrated his roots in a segment that highlighted Canadian culture and identity. By this point, he had also developed an ability to laugh at situations that once might have seemed devastating. One of the best examples came when he appeared on Curb Your Enthusiasm. The role earned him yet another Emmy nomination and showcased his remarkable willingness to embrace humor surrounding his condition. In the storyline, Larry David becomes convinced that Fox is using Parkinson's symptoms to manipulate people. The joke worked because Fox himself was willing to be in on it. For many viewers, it was a powerful sign of how much resilience he had developed since his diagnosis. Still, part of him missed carrying a show of his own. Determined to prove he could still lead a series, Fox returned to television with The Michael J. Fox Show, a comedy loosely inspired by his real-life experiences. The project represented a chance to reconnect with the kind of starring role that had once defined his career. Unfortunately, the series struggled to find an audience and was canceled after just 15 episodes. But while professional disappointments were difficult, the health challenges waiting ahead would prove far more serious. In 2018, doctors discovered a benign tumor growing on Fox's spine. Although non-cancerous, the tumor posed an enormous threat. It caused severe pain, disrupted his balance, and carried the frightening possibility of paralysis if left untreated. The surgery required to remove it was highly complex. Surgeons had to operate with extraordinary precision, knowing that even a small mistake could result in permanent damage. Thankfully, the procedure was successful. The recovery, however, was anything but easy. Following the operation, Fox faced months of rehabilitation and essentially had to relearn how to walk. In his memoir, No Time Like the Future, he described the emotional toll of that experience. Spending so much time in a wheelchair left him feeling invisible, as though people no longer saw him as a person, but simply as something being transported from place to place. Then, while still recovering, disaster struck again. Fox suffered a fall and broke his arm, compounding an already difficult recovery. The combination of pain, frustration, and physical limitations pushed him into one of the darkest periods of his life. For perhaps the first time, even his legendary optimism began to crack. Yet, somehow, he found a way forward. Over time, he rebuilt his outlook by focusing on gratitude and perspective. He reminded himself that countless others faced struggles of their own, and that self-pity would not change his circumstances. It was not easy, but it allowed him to keep moving. By 2020, however, another painful reality became impossible to ignore. Parkinson's had progressed to the point where acting was becoming increasingly difficult. Memorizing dialogue was harder than it once had been. Speech, movement, and concentration all required greater effort. Fox recognized that continuing to work at the level he expected from himself was no longer realistic. With great reluctance, he stepped away from acting once again. In his writing, he explained that memory issues, age, spinal complications, and the progression of Parkinson's all played a role in the decision. Rather than allowing his performances to suffer, he chose to retire on his own terms. Even then, he refused to close the door completely. He acknowledged that life could always surprise him and that circumstances might change in the future. Retirement, after all, had never stopped Michael J. Fox before. In 2023, he returned to the spotlight through the documentary Still, a Michael J. Fox movie, directed by Davis Guggenheim. The film chronicled his life, career, and battle with Parkinson's. But rather than focusing solely on hardship, it highlighted perseverance, humor, and hope. Then came one of the most unexpected moments of all. In 2024, during a performance by Coldplay at the Glastonbury Festival, Fox made a surprise appearance on stage. The crowd erupted as he joined the band with a guitar in hand. The moment carried special meaning. Coldplay frontman Chris Martin had long credited Back to the Future as one of his biggest inspirations. The famous scene featuring Marty McFly performing on stage helped spark his own dreams of becoming a musician. Decades after first playing Marty, Fox was still inspiring people in ways he never could have imagined. His influence extended far beyond entertainment. Through advocacy, fundraising, and public awareness campaigns, he transformed the conversation around Parkinson's disease. His work earned international recognition, including an honorary doctorate from the Karolinska Institute. He was also named by Time magazine as one of the people helping transform the world through talent, influence, and moral leadership. Yet despite all his accomplishments, Fox has often looked back on his own life with surprising honesty. Although leaving school helped launch his career, he later described the decision as a youthful mistake and encouraged his children to pursue their education rather than follow the same path. More recently, he has also spoken candidly about mortality. Having spent decades confronting illness, injury, and uncertainty, he approaches the subject with remarkable openness. He has expressed a desire for a peaceful end whenever that day eventually comes, preferring something quiet rather than dramatic. Thankfully, he is not focused on giving up. The last several years have been extraordinarily difficult. Parkinson's has continued affecting his mobility, leading to a series of painful injuries. Within just a few years, he suffered multiple fractures, serious infections, and even faced the possibility of losing a finger. Yet despite every setback, he continues moving forward. The disease may have taken away many things, but it has not taken away his determination. Through every challenge, Fox has remained committed to the people who matter most to him: his family, his friends, and the countless individuals who draw strength from his example. For Michael J. Fox, the fight has never really been about defeating Parkinson's. It has been about refusing to let it define the story. And decades after receiving a diagnosis that once seemed impossible to face, that story continues to inspire millions around the world.